Hello everybody, welcome Hypno Junkies to more Chaos Head Noah. Well, we are moving along. We are getting close. We had one hell of a ride with Kazui last round. I'm starting to wonder if the guide that I'm reading or the recommended way of going through this is actually going from less interesting to more interesting, because it's certainly not chronological. We are jumping around between the points in the story where character routes get activated. We're actually going to back up to hit the Senna one, and we're going to back up even further when we go and do the Rimi route. So, and it certainly has been the trend. The Nami route, okay, whatever. The Yua route, a little more interesting. The Ayase route was alright. The Kazue route was entertaining, if nothing else. I also like how we got a chance to touch on the negative effects of too much delusioning. Senna alluded to that in the main story, and we never really got a chance to see what that meant when someone did so much with their powers, when they killed or delusioned or whatever so much that it built up enough negative activity to start having a negative impact on someone. A really negative impact, and of course we got to experience that with Kazue, so that was an interesting exploration of that concept that I'm not sure we would have gotten otherwise. In the meantime, I shall expect that the center route will be even better, and again, there is definitely some meat here. I suspect we're going to have a chance to reconcile with her father. We've only really had two direct experiences with her father, one where he died in front of her, and the other one where she killed him inadvertently. In both cases, he died. So we are probably going to get some sort of route where he doesn't, because we did learn that for all Senna's talk about wanting to kill her father, that's not really what she wanted. So I'm guessing something along those lines. But I guess we'll find out. So we are going to get ahead and just jump straight to running into Senna in Shibuya, walking around with her sword, because that's kind of what sets this all off. So we will get to that, we will activate the center route, and we will find out what's in store for us. Let's do it. And here we are. We ran into Senna, and boy, she swung her sword at us. How rude. Anyway, we are in Chapter 3. We have had 4 new-gen cases. We are just coming back from our little cafe, and we've just run into Senna for the second time, the first time being in the hallway at the school, of course. But it is time to activate the Senna route, and oddly enough, we don't actually pick a delusion here. We just go straight through the neutral, which is interesting. I don't think I've actually picked a red or a green on this one yet. I'll have to do that at some point when I have to go through and get all the positives and all the negatives. I think there is an achievement for seeing literally every delusion, going with both the left and the right options for each one in the game. But we're not going to do that. We're just going to sail right on through. Senna swung her sword at us. Cowering on the spot, I covered my head, because I am a bitch. If I hadn't dodged it, it would have hit me on the head for sure. I doubt it would have cut me. See, this is before we know any better. But with that kind of force behind it, would have given me a concussion and permanently dented my skull. I hate pain. Meh. What the hell are you doing? I was so shaken that I got my speech all mixed up. Oh, I didn't even notice. But then we get a cool CG of Senna. Girl B. Oh yeah, we don't even know her name. It's just Girl B. Girl B looked down at me coldly. This chick wasn't normal, waving a sword around in the middle of a crowd. Was she in the midst of a hit and run? Was she a spree killer? Could she be the new-gen culprit or the demon girl's accomplice? And of course, the first time we went through the game, we didn't get these options. These only came up on our second playthrough, just like with the Whose Eyes Are Those Eyes on the blackboard. So this is our chance to unlock the center route. I don't think I mentioned this, but I do kind of appreciate that the game does give you some idea where the branches are. I've criticized this game in the past, and especially games like Steins Gate and that, for not really giving you any feedback for how your choices have any meaning whatsoever. But the fact that we have these little quizzes before we unlock a route, and it tells you if you unlock a route because you unlock the achievement. That's how we knew that we unlocked Yua's route by mistake. So at least this gives us something. Now, I'm guessing that we just pick the most I'm just in love with you right off the bat options if we want to go down their route. So let's pick things I would normally not pick in a million years. Yes, please let me ogle you some more. I really feel like that's just getting me more of a beating, but whatever. If it's with this girl, I'm willing to get down on my hands and knees, beg with all my heart and soul. Of course you are. The only person that can save me is Senna time. If given the choice, I prefer being stepped on, yes, because as Psy'Min keeps saying, you are a bitch. This little simp ass, I've got nothing against a little swordplay, if you know what I mean. Wink, wink, nudge, nudge, say no more. She's going to kill me with that sword either way. No, 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 no. Not if you simp hard enough. Then you're fine. That's how it works, right? Tell me I unlock something. Badoop, there's the noise. Soda flavored Garugari-kun. I'm gonna assume that's, I don't know, something Crunchy-kun related. But we did it. We're on the center route. Yes. Help. Don't kill me. The next thing I knew, I was trembling. It felt like I was this close to pissing myself out of sheer terror. What don't you understand? At this point, everything. I'm only asking if you can see it. What the hell was she talking about? So, again, our boy knows nothing. He doesn't even know what a D-sword is. He just assumes this is a stupid question because, well, of course I can see it. You're walking around with a giant glowing sword, not realizing the rules just yet. If I said I couldn't see it, would she kill me? How was I supposed to answer if I didn't even know what I was supposed to be seeing? Calm down. I'll ask again. This sword, this D-sword, can you see it? Huh? I'll take dumb questions for 100, Alex. D-sword. You see, D's nuts. It was the first time I'd ever heard that word. It had to be referring to the sword she was holding, but I decided to just nod. I mean, I obviously could see it. There'd be something wrong with me if I couldn't. Lugging around a sword that large and conspicuous and in center guy, no less. I'd be willing to accept it if this was Akiba, but in Shibuya of all places? I see. So you two have been gathered. I'm pretty sure this is text we've seen, but we're going to play this scene out just because it's short. Gathered? Who? And by who? At the very least, I was definitely here voluntarily. Have you seen an error before? Yeah, this is also text we've seen. Also, just looking at her body, does it look like her left hip is out really, really far? I don't know. The angle here is, and the proportions are strange. In Japanese, please. What a Daru thing to say. Was what I wanted to say, but unsurprisingly, I wasn't brave enough, because as Psy'Min says over and over again, you are a bitch. Then again, if I said the wrong thing, she'd probably stab me. So, regardless, this chick had been spouting nothing but nonsense ever since she'd first opened her mouth. Tell me if you see one. We say that about one of the most sensible characters of the game. After she said that, Girl B turned around. Her skirt fluttered in the breeze, and I could almost see her panties. There we go. That's the Takumi I know. I hurriedly shut my eyes. I'm Aoi Senna, a third year. You'll find me on the train in front of the station. We do find her there later. We follow a white chain. I open my eyes. The girl calling herself Senna had vanished. I was completely stunned, and it wasn't until I arrived back at my base that I realized I hadn't understand a single goddamn word she'd said. And end scene. So, next scene. See you there. And we're back. So I was mentioning before how Senna was going to meet us on the train car, and we were going to follow our little white chain to her. And we did that. And that pretty much went as expected. And everything else has gone pretty much as expected too, where we've met Remy and Kazui joined the class and all that good stuff. But this is immediately following that meeting in the train car. So I think Senna had more or less just left. The meeting is over. We're at the beginning of essentially the next chapter. And this is just the D-sword chapter. We have tried to get a D-sword. We panicked when we met Remy, so we went and got our crappy foam sword, which was terrible, of course. And Nanami's got her bangle, but this is right after our meeting with Senna in the train. And I thought she left, but it looks like she's still in it. So let's kind of see where this goes here. Or maybe this is slightly before that? I don't know. This is just where the E-key dropped me off. I know as much as you do. Let's see what's up. A solitary train car stood stock still near Shibuya Station. It was a car that was open to the public, with many referring to it as the Green Frog. Yeah, it seems to be essentially on bricks. It's not going anywhere. It just sits there as like a attraction or resting place or something. Aoi Senna sat inside of it, and biting her thumbnail, she looked out the window and watched the passers-by with disinterest. She and Ushiju Takumi had spoken at length yesterday on this very train. Oh, yesterday, okay. And today she had come here once again, so this is actually significantly after that, i.e. the next day. All right, fair enough. So she did leave and come back for whatever reason. She hadn't gone to school. Attendance was the least of her worries. Yeah, she's looking for someone. She was constantly driven by feelings of impatience, and as a result, she would often get very irritated with others, leading to her fairly harsh behavior toward them. Yeah, no kidding. Where the hell are you, Hatano? Yeah, exactly. Her voice swelled with hatred, all of it directed toward a single individual. She dug a hand into her uniform pocket and took out a piece of paper. It's that formula. It was a small, crumpled scrap of paper, torn from a memo pad. Written on it was something resembling an algebraic formula. The letters were faded and dull, perhaps due to aging, or perhaps because it had been, well, written in pencil. Only one part remained barely legible, and that was the IR2. I don't know, this whole thing seems pretty legible to me. It was the scribblings of Senna's father from long ago, and also from the back of Takumi's silly little essay. Needless to say, she did not exactly treat it like a holy artifact. Instead, she simply kept it close, so she could always remember the hatred she held for her father. Senna's family was once a happy one. However, the moment her father had scrawled a certain formula onto this piece of paper, slowly, silently, yet certainly, madness began to envelop everything. Hey, look how much prettier it used to be. Senna's father had once been a corporate scientist. Senna had been just an elementary school student at the time, and while she did not understand the type of work her father did, she knew he was always busy. He was rarely home. Occasionally he would come home and show his affectionate side, but that had almost never lasted even a day. He would be back to work before anyone knew it. Welcome to corporate Japan. It was not that she disliked her father, but she was a little disappointed to find that she could not think of a single time her family had ever sat down for a meal together. Then came a day, about 6.5 years ago, where her father returned home from work. Unlike his usual calm and collected self, he had been brimming with excitement. Senna, your old man has discovered something amazing. This is something that reaches far beyond even a Nobel Prize. What did you find that's so amazing? This formula will change the world as we know it, overthrowing the mechanisms behind its very function. It's monumental. As he spoke, he held a memo pad before Senna's eyes. Written on it was the IR2 equation. I need to keep remembering it's IR2, even though it could pass for an LR2. I've spent so long searching for this, I couldn't come up with anything no matter how hard I tried. Project Noah had slowed to a halt. It had reached deadlock. But with this formula, the project can advance on to the next phase. I never would have guessed. It was in such a strange place. Yeah, how did you track that down? I feel as if the divine light itself has blessed me. Yeah, he may be a scientist, but he's still part of that church cult. Right at Tokyo Station. I was just walking by. What are the odds? Have you seen Tokyo Station? The size of that place. It's enormous. How did you just see this at Tokyo Station? Okay, there were these essays on display in one corner of the station. It was an exhibition by the Ministry of Education showcasing essays from a nationwide writing contest. Okay. The essays there were all written by excellent students and Takumi. Did you know about it? Or perhaps Did you apply? I don't know what the hell you're talking about, Dad. I don't know about it, I don't know. If you had, I'm sure the judges would have adored your entry. That's not true. I'm not very good at writing. Is that what you think? Well, I think you should have more confidence in yourself. Don't worry, she grows up to be a very confident woman. Some issues, but you know. So you found another person's essay? Was that the big discovery? No, not the essay. The essay itself is of no consequence. The only important part is the scribbling on the back of the page. How did you get around to seeing that? The essay was sitting in a clear plastic display, so you could see the back of the page through it. You would think that they wouldn't do that just for this reason. Not because they thought there was anything significant on the back, but it was just a bunch of scribbling. Surely that would make it look like unprofessional or something. Just terrible presentation to see this guy's, just drawings, scribbles in the back. It likely wasn't specifically meant to be displayed like that. They just happened to be transparent. Still, I'm absolutely certain that the event organizers never meant to show the backside of that essay. The odds of me finding that formula were astronomically slim. I wonder if this is what they call a miracle. So not only was this on public display, but technically the Whose Eyes Were Those Eyes was on... Actually, yeah, technically Whose Eyes Were Those Eyes would have been even more on display. I was thinking to myself, was that scribbled on the back? No, that was the literal title of the essay. So that was on literal public display, which means it wasn't quite as private as Takumi keeps implying. By formula, you mean like math? Yes, this is math, Senna. Well done. Yes, that's right. It's a very difficult mathematical formula. Can you really change the world with math? Oh, my poor sweet summer child. Yes, you really can. Everything about your old man's research involves changing the world. So naive in school. I remember when I was first in school and you take geometry and algebra and trigonometry and you're like, when am I ever going to use trigonometry? Whatever the hell. And one of the first things I did, most of you know I come from a background in computer programming in general and video game programming specifically. And this was way back before we had a whole lot of engines for things. You kind of had to make your own and then maybe wrap it around OpenGL or DirectX or whatever. And so I started looking into, okay, well, how do you do 3D programming? Well, it's trigonometry. Well, damn it. I spent the moment I finished high school, I purged all this useless information from my brain. And it's like, transformation matrices and all this other stuff. It's like, well, I'm glad it had a purpose for me. Everything your old man's research involves changing the world with math. Really? I don't know if I believe you. Matrix multiplication, by the way, is weird. Go and look at it sometime. If math terrifies you, that'll traumatize you. Someday I'll prove it. Just you watch, Senna. It had been over 6.5 years since that day. Gritting her teeth together, Senna shoved the paper back in her pocket. She gazed through the window, her eyes focused on the dull sky above. Undoubtedly the world would change soon, just as her father had said. Senna's own world had already undergone many drastic changes. Vileness, havoc. Everywhere you looked you would find more. It had become an unfathomably hideous place. A world like that can't be allowed to exist. I'll kill that bastard. And stop it myself. This is shades of Ayase's route, where we were talking about everyone has their own subjective view of reality. And is that it? That's probably it. Back to the cafe. So there I was in my beloved room 37. Yua is probably just coming in the front door now, ready to jump in and pin us down. But that means we're done with Senna. So let's see where the E-key drops us off now. Take it away, E-key. And here we are. I think this is dropping us off roughly the same place as either the Causeway or the Ayase route. Because I remember The seventh case being something that we stopped on with the E key previously as well. And we have essentially hit the same spot where, yeah, it's been the second earthquake. We were confronted by Senna after the fact because of the flower bed we made. We went on our failed Esper Boy rescue quest after getting Nanami's wrist in the mail. We have caught up with Kazue, beating the crap out of those people. Of course we have, because the seventh case has happened, and that was part of it. And of course we just finished having Crunchy-kuns with Senna and Kazue. So hopefully this doesn't repeat too much with the last route. I think it was Kazue where we stopped here. It might have been Ayase. But I guess we'll see where this starts to deviate. But this is where the game said, nope, stop, this is new. And yeah, 7 cases. Here we go. Let's see what our boy has to react to this differently. It had happened again, another new gen. Oh, I get to breeze through this. Actually, I think this might have been the 3rd time. Ayase and Kazue may have both stopped on this. Yua might have as well. I'm pretty sure 2 of those 3 did, because I remember skipping over this next bit before. Of course, Grim is our news go-to source for new gen cases. Of course, DQN puzzle, blah, blah, blah. I'm pretty sure the Nanami route was different, because we actually had a completely different 6th case, which was like the dominate tricks instead of finger food, because someone choked on a jacket. And of course, here's this news report again. 3 guys we don't care about, hanging from a tower. DQN carved in their foreheads. They were cut in half and sewed back together. Gross. At the end of the news clip, photos were shown. I have seen these faces before. It's them. The guys who beat me up. Kazupi was there. I got my wallet from her, because she had it, after she beat the tar out of them. It definitely wasn't me. I don't know why they thought I did it. I don't know why they said to Sua that I was a monster, when Kazupi is clearly the one that the psychopath chapter is named after. Must have been Shogun. Nope. Alright, couldn't get the D-sword, so how are we supposed to do anything? No, I couldn't rely on Remy anymore. I have to pick a new girl to rely on. We're going to pick Senna for no reason. I like how in Kazue's route, she's just like, I need to rely on Kazue. She's dependable. And then in every other route, I can't rely on Kazue. She's too unreliable. Have to find someone else. Someone else who I could rely on to protect me. And the first person that came to mind, it's a different first person every time. Senna. Because I want her to step on me, because I'm a simp. If you continue down this path, whether you desire it or not, you're going to end up like Kazue. Your consciousness must be strong enough to create positive from negative. If you don't, if you half-ass it, well, just look at the previous video to see what happens. Aoi Senna. Dun 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 dun. Yesterday, when the 2 of us had gone our separate ways, she'd given me that piece of advice. Yeah, after the Crunchy-kuns. She definitely knew something. She also had a D-sword. She seemed strong, too. Would she be my savior? If not, I was doomed. All of the D-sword users seem unusually strong. Even Kazue. Yua, we know, has a grip. Senna's tough. Alright. Oh, hey, we're just going to go back to the train car. This is just where I guess she goes. Because I'm not sure why she even went there the following day. Maybe this is just where she hangs out to eat Crunchy-kuns and see if she's got a winner. The following day, I made my way to the front of the station. In all honesty, I didn't really want to go back there. After all that traumatic Esper BS, the front of Shibuya Station brought back nothing but bad memories. Adding to my stress, just like usual, there were way too many people around. The area around Hachiko was absolutely infested with normies loitering about. Everyone kept glancing at me and sneering as they pointed their phones at me. No, not more of that. I had enough of that last route. But when I turned around to look away, my eyes wandered up toward the towering O-front, the very building where I had committed social suicide only a few days ago. Videos covering every angle of that night continued to make the rounds on the internet, and they would likely continue to spread across the world for all eternity. Erasing them was pretty much impossible at this point. Hey man, the Streisand effect. I was going to spend the rest of my life as the internet's favorite punchline. Like I said, you're a bitch. I was so frustrated, angry, and sad. It made me want to get as far away from it as I possibly could, but knowing Shogun would kill me the second I tried to escape, I was forced to painstakingly stand my ground. I cautiously stepped foot into the train carriage known as the Green Frog, trying my hardest to avoid looking at my surroundings. You're just kind of hoping she's in here? Well, 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 look at that. Complete with Crunchy-kun. Unsurprisingly, there she sat, Aoi Senna, the train's sole passenger. Please protect me. It took me a minute, but I realized that the reason why no one else was in the car was likely due to Senna's own handiwork. Yeah, we kind of figured that out the first time around, way back, like 30 episodes ago. She'd used her Gigalomaniac powers, or whatever they were. Hey! Stop doing that! It's going to build up in your sword and make you crazy pants. You again. Did you locate any errors? Shaking my head lightly, I handed her the Crunchy-kun I'd brought in advance from the local convenience store. She won't talk to you unless you bring some sort of offering or tie that's like momose with her pastries. It was my way of getting my foot in the door. Here, I know it's not much, but I hope you like it. Oh, no, please don't worry about it. Thank you very much. And that's how it would go, all according to the stupid-ass Japanese custom. But even though I knew it was idiotic, not even I would stoop as low as to ask for protection without giving something in return. Really? I asked you what compensation you were going to give Kazupi last round. I don't recall getting an answer. As payment for her services, I would give her 3 Crunchy-kuns a day. Okay, this time we've got it figured out. It was an offer even Senna couldn't refuse. For me? Thanks. She accepted it with surprisingly little resistance. Phooey! Everything was going according to plan. Okay, Light. What flavor do you get, Nishiju? For me, it's soda or nothing. Like the name of the chapter. Or the achievement, I should say. Senna excitedly tore open the wrapping and took out the popsicle. Speaking of the chapter... Deus Ex Machina. Okay, that's the name of the Senna chapter. I was just curious. It might have just been my imagination, but it almost looked like her mouth had curved into a slight smile. Senna smiling? Unheard of. Man, just how obsessed with those things are you? You're practically asking for a stomachache. Mine's cola flavored. They're all blue, though. Excuse me? Cola flavor's hearsay. Burn in hell. No, you don't. No more protection. The price has jumped to 5 Crunchy-kuns. Sorry. You like cola? Burn in hell. I had made her mad. I'd thought about telling her off for getting upset over something so trivial, but I figured I better keep my mouth shut. Anyway. Taking a bite out of her Crunchy-kun, Senna shifted her probing gaze to me. She already had half of one when she came in. She's just dual-fisting them at this point. What do you want? Why did she have to be so intimidating? The look in her eyes could turn me to stone. All I wanted was to ask for help, but it felt like the sheer anxiety alone was going to kill me. I was already bad enough at talking to 3D girls as it is. I took a few deep breaths and just barely managed to calm myself down. I want you to help me. What's that supposed to mean? I'm being targeted by the new-gen culprit. I told you about him before, remember? That Shogun guy. I know for a fact that he's reading my mind. God, you sound like a paranoid nutcase. He can read minds? What is he? Like I know. That's exactly what I'm trying to figure out. It's not impossible, considering Kazue does the same thing, but still, we still sound like a crazy person. People in Shibuya that can read minds are few and far between. They could either be a Gigalomaniac, or perhaps the people at Nezumi. Nezumi? Yeah, I'm not sure. Have we ever been exposed to... Well, I guess we get exposed to it eventually, but not yet here. I don't think. Nezumi technology. A company that's trying to control the world using Project Noah. What was she on about? It sounded like some kind of conspiracy theory. But could Shogun be a member of that organization? Help me. Please. I'm begging you. I will drown you in Crunchy-kuns. I felt myself rapidly sinking further into despair. I wanted something, anything to cling to, something that would save me. Oh, we know. Senna took another bite of her Crunchy-kun, then furrowed her brow. I already told you. If you keep going, but half-ass it, your delusions will devour you from within. Yeah, we know that now. Knowing that, do you have the resolve to move forward? No way. Of course I'm not. That's why I'm asking you to help me. I can't take this anymore. Why does it always have to be me? Sapped of all my willpower, I fell to my knees. Don't do this to me. Just protect me. What do you want me to do? I want you to stop being a little bitch. I don't want to do anything anymore. So, you don't have any resolve. Well, you're losing all her respect. I felt her cold glare pierce through me. I could clearly tell just how pathetic I was being, so all I could do at that point was hang my head in shame. This Shogun person bothers me. If they're from Nozomi, does that mean they're one of the people behind New Gen? If so, I can't ignore it. Oh, we might have actually talked her into joining our party. With a frown, Senna muttered that to herself as she looked out the window. She seemed to be deep in thought, but she kept chewing on her Crunchy-kun regardless. Well, what do you expect her to do? Hello? Quiet, I'm done my Crunchy-kun. I need to check if it's a winner. Not longer after I said something, Senna suddenly got up from her seat. Not longer after I said something. Game, I got enough trouble reading this crap without you putting in grammar errors. She was now standing in front of me. You want me to protect you? Damn it, she was always looking down on me. Does this bitch have a dominatrix fetish or something? No, you have a simp complex. Kozui could look down on you, and she's 4 feet tall. Despite insulting her inside my head, I gave her a meek nod. Because you're a bitch. In other words, this means we'll be working together. From now on. That alright with you? As long as you protect me, anything's fine. Protecting myself from Shogun's attacks was my highest priority right now. So what does working together mean? Is she going to enlist us for finding her dad? If you'll really protect me, then no. I don't have any objections. It's settled then. Senna extended her hand toward me. I stared blankly at those delicate fingers of hers, unsure of what they were trying to convey. Is this just a very slow swatting at me? I'm not used to interacting with this woman without her hitting me. Growing impatient, Senna grabbed my hand and pulled me up. Our eyes met, if only for an instant. Having our gazes intertwine at such a short distance made me frantically avert my eyes. She then let go of my hand. All right, close enough for a handshake. All right, let's move. And then, as if to spur me onward, turned her back to me. Well, we know who's the boss in this situation. Huh? Move where? To Nozomi Technologies' head office. Well, we're moving quick. We're going to infiltrate it. Oh, interesting. Infiltrate? Like into the enemy base? Flashbacks of Metal Gear Solid, Arkham Asylum, and Spider-Man are coming into my head here. No. What? What was this stupid bitch thinking? Did she have a death wish? Well, this was game over. God, I was such an idiot for thinking I could rely on her. Like hell, I was going anywhere near there. I wanted nothing to do with this. I wasn't the kind of person to just waltz right onto my death. I was the type of person who tells someone, wow, that plan fucking sucks, and then ditch them. Wow, that plan fucking sucks. See ya. Ignoring my look of disbelief, Senna strolled briskly out the door. However, I, meanwhile, stayed right where I was, refusing to budge an inch. Well, we'll see how long that lasts. Suddenly, I realized I could no longer move my arms. I glanced down at my body. Are you chained? Yep. She's literally got you on a leash, my guy. Before I could even blink, a white chain had coiled around my body. And on top of that, it was wrapped around me very, very tight. Even when I tried to force it off, it refused to budge an inch. Who the? When the? What the? How did that even happen? Stop wasting time. Heal. Senna poked her head out the window, then urged me to come quickly. I felt the chain wrapped around my body being tugged. I tried to resist, but I no longer had full control of my body. The chain led outside the train carriage and ended when it reached Senna's hand. Literally on a leash. She was holding it. She was the one pulling me. So this is what Queen and Slave exhibitionist humiliation roleplay is like. I see. Wait, no, it was nothing like that. What the fuck? Well, Senna let you know where you are in the pecking order quick enough. God damn it. I was such an idiot for thinking I could rely on Senna. I'd clearly picked the wrong person for this. Someone help me. I can't take this anymore. Literally our poor guy. Anytime there's any sort of issue, any pressure whatsoever, someone help me, save me. Even the person that he asked to save him, help him like 5 minutes earlier. I can't wait to see him grow a spine in the Trusa ending, please. Nozomi's main branch was apparently within walking distance of Shibuya Station, but my mental strength had already been completely drained before we even reached it. After all, Senna had been parading me right smack in the middle of Shibuya. It went without saying that practically every cell phone in existence had been pointed at me, and with that my dark past had grown even darker. Well, on the plus side, I don't think they can see the chain. There was definitely a thread about it on that channel by now. Esper Nishiju indulging in puppy play with black-haired Butte in Shibuya. The DQNs were never going to let me hear the end of this. No matter how much I pleaded with Senna, she refused to remove the chains. Well, this'll teach you to listen the first time. Accept that you're a bitch and, own it. Right now, it's imperative that you stand out as much as possible. This is doing just that, don't you think? Why is it imperative that we stand out as much as possible? She was constantly spouting all sorts of nonsensical reasoning like that. Seriously, what kind of bullshit logic was that? Did she real boot the chain? Can everyone see that? Because if so, damn. Anzai-sensei, I want to be a man who stands out from the crowd. Had I asked her anything like that? No, I fucking hadn't. Strolling right into the enemy base, what the hell was she thinking? We could be killed at any moment. Completely ignoring my complaints, Senna casually entered the fancy building, dragging me right along with her. After all, the chain had given me no choice in the matter. This is the ride you signed up for. So how does this work? Does Senna get... are they familiar with her here in a good way or not? Because she was here. They know her father. The grandeur of the expansive lobby standing before me took my breath away. The Nozomi Group. It apparently became one of Japan's leading conglomerates. A place like this was so far removed from the life of a student like me, it felt like a completely different world. I'd never set foot in a building quite like this before. The size of the lobby, the practical enshrinement of the hot grills at the reception desk. I had to take a moment to breathe. For a moment there I was like, grills? What grills? I don't see any barbecues. Oh, of course, I forgot who was narrating this. Wait, we were in a company workplace. Shouldn't it have been off limits to unauthorized personnel? We're in the lobby, my guy. Both Senna and I were wearing sume uniforms, so we were very obviously high school students. Not only that, but I was wrapped up in a chain, too. We were practically screaming that we were intruders. For Senna to disregard this and enter the building like she owned the place, I began to doubt her sanity. Watched Senna go on a tear that would put Kazue to shame. The moment we entered through the automatic doors, I made eye contact with one of the receptionists. Let's go back. I was hesitant to go any further than we already had, but Senna didn't stop moving. Senna gives no shits. Stop worrying. That's kind of our thing, though. We moved past the reception desk and headed toward the elevator in the back, and nobody had said a word to us. What the hell? Oh, was she actually making us invisible? In the same way that she was kind of doing some sort of weird crowd control in the train. We're gigalomaniacs, you're not. Screw you. Senna didn't get on the elevator, though. Instead, she chose to go for the fire escape near the hall. Beyond the door was a dimly lit emergency staircase, and that was where she finally stopped. Everyone in the building is convinced that we're Nozomi employees. Okay, so they're not invisible. They're just making people think that they're wearing actual suits and stuff. Suddenly, before I could even blink, the pressure on my body disappeared. When I looked down, I saw that the chain around me had vanished without a trace, and the next thing I saw was the D-sword in Senna's hand. Was that chain just a delusion Senna had real-booted using her Gigalomaniac powers? Obviously. So, Senna had sent anti-particles into my dead spots, this time making the real-booted chain instantly disappear. Why would they think we're Nozomi? Because I made them. Them being everyone that observes us. You know, for someone who keeps saying that you're not supposed to be abusing the delusions and stuff, you sure are good at abusing the delusions. Maybe Senna knows things that no one else does about how to disperse the negative particles. The reason she can just abuse this, and I feel like she abuses it more than most, is because she knows how to avoid the consequences. She'd made them? She could do that? Senna then looked up at the top of the staircase. Something resembling a surveillance camera was installed there. It had a red light affixed to it, and it let out an eerie sound as it surveyed the room. Oh yeah, she also knows flash step. I forgot about that. We haven't seen her do that in a while. Can you make the cameras believe it too? Maybe if I tried to. I've never tested it before. Either way, there's no need to. Because the people who see the cameras are just still going to see the uniforms anyway. Why not? Won't they catch us? This is ridiculous. Destroying the cameras is one of the first things you should do in any stealth mission. Everyone knows that. Well, everyone who's played a video game before at least. Like I said, Metal Gear Solid. I already told you, you need to stand out. And that's exactly what I don't get. Aren't you contradicting yourself? You'd made them assume we're Nozomi employees in order to camouflage us, but then you turn around and say you need to stand out. Which is it? What exactly are you trying to do? All everyone ever does is speak in riddles. Do you all think I'm an idiot or something? Yes. Well, what do you all think to yourselves? Even if I try to explain it, you won't get it? Yes. You are, aren't you? Fuck you. No, I think they're right. Damn it. I'm smart, people. My IQ is absolutely higher than Senna's, no doubt about it. To be fair, you are smart, but you're also an otaku. As I bit my lip in frustration, Senna took off on her own up the stairs, leaving me behind to continue seething. Did this girl have any actual interest in protecting me? No, she didn't. After all, she'd already put me in harm's way by dragging me into this building. What does she need me for? What was stopping her from just doing this whenever she wanted? But regardless of her intentions, I just wish she'd stop rushing ahead on her own. Maybe we are some sort of decoy or something. She could at least tell me where she was going and what she was trying to do. Just give me some sort of explanation, please. Why were we using the staircase instead of the elevator anyway? I sucked at exercising. Oh, we know. Riding the elevator would be suicide. Senna's voice rang out from above me. Had she read my mind again? With a sigh, I started heading up the stairs toward her voice. Senna was waiting 2 stories above me. As soon as I caught up, she started climbing again. If we rode the elevator inside the enemy HQ, we'd just end up getting cornered, wouldn't we? I suppose that's true. More importantly, Nishijo, tell me more about this Shogun. When did they initially start coming after you? About a month ago. Literally the day before the 3rd New Gen incident, I believe. And you've talked with them before, correct? When I nodded in response, Senna stopped dead in her tracks and looked down at me from a few stairs above. I can see your panties from this angle, Senna. I averted my eyes out of reflex before I got punched. What did they say? A lot of things. I took a moment to tell Senna about everything Shogun had set up to that point, as well as the fake kidnapping he'd staged to try and scare me. Again, to be fair, that was Suwa, not Shogun. Does the name Hatano ring a bell? No? Shogun might have mentioned him. Think harder. He didn't. Hatano. I'd never heard the name before. Who's Hatano? A man affiliated with Project Noah. I didn't know him. I didn't even know what Project Noah was. Fine. If you don't know, then forget it. Senna turned away in a huff and resumed her climb in silence. Where are we going and what are we doing? Huff, huff. There's still more? We'd gone up at least 20 stories with next to no breaks. I had probably never climbed so many stairs in my entire life. We are going deep. I was exhausted. I didn't want to climb anymore. Sweat trickled down my forehead, stinging at my eyes. I wiped it off over and over again with my hands, but it continued to bead no matter what I did. My legs felt heavy. I couldn't breathe. I felt like I was going to suffocate. I wonder if we're actually going to run into Sua. Because if he's here, he's likely not going to have a rucksack, and he's just going to really not be able to have any resistance toward our illusion. It'll be interesting to see what sort of conversation might come of such a situation. I planted my hands on my knees in an attempt to catch my breath. Drops of sweat fell from my face and dotted the floor. How much farther? How much taller can this building be? The presidential office is apparently on the top floor, floor 31. We've already had the scene with Narose and someone in his office, who we still don't know who it was, commenting on how he was surprised they were a gigalomaniac. I would almost say that we're about to set up that scene, with him thinking we're someone else, except for the fact that it's already passed. That just came to mind. The presidential office is apparently on the top floor, floor 31. Hey, you're most of the way there. 10 more floors to go. Hold on, why was I even going along with this in the first place? Because you're a bitch, number one, and number two, because you begged for protection. All I'd done was ask Senna to protect me, so why was this happening to me? Polnareff's face appeared in the back of my mind? I'm assuming that's another JoJo reference, because number one, Polnareff is a character in JoJo, number two, it's starred out, so OMG trademark. Why would Polnareff's face appear in the back of your mind? Are you referring to part 5? When Polnareff was in part 5? Or is this referring to the stairs Polnareff was going up when he first encountered Dio? Why would Polnareff's face appear in the back of your mind? You think you're getting moved down the stairs, so you think it's going to go on forever? Is that why? My heavy breathing reverberated throughout the quiet staircase. Surprisingly, Senna didn't try to go on ahead after I caught up this time. Instead, she leaned against the wall and stared at me with a blank expression on her face. Seemed like she was finally letting us take a short break. Mounted above Senna was another one of the security cameras. They were installed on every floor. There was no way they hadn't found out that we'd been climbing the staircase by now. Security guards could arrive at any moment. The reason I didn't tamper with the security cameras earlier, suddenly Senna began to murmur something, is because if this Shogun is a member of Nezumi, he could be in this very building. I thought we could lure him out. Well, that was a needless risk. So what you're saying is you're using me as bait? Hey! Exactly what Psy'Min guessed. I deserve no prizes for that guess. That was the easiest guess in the world. Of course she's using you as bait. Again, you're a bitch. Yeah, that's right. I initially had no interest in Nezumi. Even deciding to infiltrate this building was an irregularity. I obviously plan to destroy Project Noah at some point. But now isn't the time. I have something else that takes priority. Yeah, finding her dad and killing him. She'd become awfully talkative all of a sudden. Was she finally going to explain why we were here? But Senna didn't reveal what that something else was. From what you've told me, this Shogun knows something. It could even be something about Hitano. For a split second, her face stiffened upon saying that name. Were they really that terrible of a person? Relax, Nishijo. You're getting something out of this, too. Really? In exchange for your being the bait, I'll protect you. Okay, so that's the deal. You offered 3 Crunchy-kuns, and she was just like, no, we're playing Metal Gear Solid. And also, you want to learn this Shogun's identity, right? To eliminate the threat, you need to go on to the offensive. But she was cut off. Senna abruptly stopped. She then frowned, stepped away from the wall, and readied her gigantic D-sword. right in the middle of this narrow, cramped stairway. What's going on? Yeah, what's up? Oh, we hear that noise. That sounds like rucksacks. I think Senna knows rucksacks at this point. She's had to deal with at least 2 of them. Once in that huge rumble in the park, and the other time when she was just taking out rucksacks that Bond saw her doing it on the security cameras. They're like collectibles at this point. She's just got to take care of them all, but she knows what they sound like. Why would they be running them? Do they know that we're here, or are they just testing them, or what? Senna didn't answer. She peered down the stairwell and then up, only to freeze in place. Okay, we're being affected. That voice. Where's it coming from? There's no voice. Takemi's just going to be like you're hearing things. A voice? Who the hell are you? She suddenly shouted. I thought she might have been shouting at the security camera, but her gaze was directed farther upward toward the ceiling. It couldn't be. I had a bad feeling about this. Unable to resist the bait, I looked up at the ceiling. Naturally, there was nothing there. After all, I couldn't hear the voice, but I had a good idea of what it was. Shogun. Not quite. He was reading our minds using some sort of satellite way up in the sky, and he was making Senna hear some kind of voice. Senna, don't listen to that voice. Are you going to realize that it's a delusion? I promptly grabbed hold of her shoulders and shook her. It doesn't seem like Shogun is a part of Nezumi. I was right. She had heard Shogun's voice. You're being tricked. He's an enemy. Don't believe anything he says. I hear something. She recognizes it's a voice that he can't hear? Or she just hears a random rucksack? My hands were still gripping her shoulders. She responded by grabbing my wrists tightly. Her nails dug in deep, shooting pain throughout my entire body. Oh, is this going to hook into speculation I had quite a long time ago? That pain was something that sort of negated the effect of the rucksacks. That it distracted you from focusing on the delusion and kind of brought you out of it. My face twisted in... Nishijo! I hear something! Be careful! Alright. We are having a vision. A flash of light burst into my head, and from that light an image came forth. A dark room, a puddle of blood staining the floor, a modern art piece resembling that of a crucifix. A very elaborate, ornate crucifix, really. Nanami's sword resembles a crucifix more than this thing. Someone was bound there, with their head lifelessly hanging down, their clothes stained in blood, their right hand cruelly severed. How can you tell from this angle? I'd seen it. I'd seen it clearly. That was without a doubt. Nanami. Nanami's here! Somewhere in this building! She had been kidnapped by Shogun. Her wrist! That wasn't a delusion. It was real. Is Senna going to sympathize with us because of her family matters? I had to find her. I wasn't able to save her before. Now Senna was suffering too. So I had to find her. This time for sure I had to do something. Don't you run off. Calm down, Nishiju. The likelihood of this being a trap is pretty much certain. Just a minute ago, you also believed what Shogun said, didn't you? I violently shook Senna's hands off me. The presidential office was on the 31st floor. Seriously, listen to the sound. It's a different delusion than Shogun's interference. I ignored her and sprinted up the stairs. Well, this route may be shorter than I thought. This was no time to complain about my exhaustion. I was desperate. Nanami was suffering and it was all my fault. It was all my fault. I'd failed her back then. I'd run away. She must resent me. Forgive me, I'm a pathetic excuse for an older brother. Damn it, I wanted power. I wanted a D-sword like Senna's. Why? Why couldn't I get my hands on one? It was all I asked for. We did get a D-sword in Ayase's route, and that was the only route, other than the two main opening endings, where we got a D sword. And oddly enough, it wasn't where it was before. We literally pulled it out of Ayase's heart. Whereas before it was, hanging off a department store. Nanami, don't die. I'm begging you. Well, how's this going to go? They clearly know we're here because they're manipulating us. Also, very interesting that we are now in this room. We've only ever seen this room in just kind of vignettes and asides. And now we are here. Nice chairs. And that is part 1 of the Senna route. What is waiting for us in this room? I guess we will find out in the next episode. Take care. I will see you then. Have a great week. Bye-bye.